Okay, welcome back guys. This is video 2 of the webinar Q&A for Plusspec, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just change the format a little bit so I can try and get a lot of questions answered in one go. I noticed that the way I was doing it before, I was going over old ground. So let's have a bit of a look. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually divided it here into countries, and we've got how are we handling technical support in Canada. We have our forum, we have our questions and answers there that you can ask and they will be replied to. We do have several users in Canada. I can contact them and see if you want to do training there, but it's being such a large country, I would think that the best way to do it would be with us doing one-on-one, so we do go to meetings, one-on-one training. But technical support, you know what, we're not getting too many issues with technical support, maybe occasional licensing issue or someone's lost their computer, so you can do that there. Okay, the second one here, we have a builder here, and it is Wayne from Canada. I own a roofing company doing mainly pitch roofs and have 2 questions. Okay, let's have a look at what they are. Okay, we do hundreds of roof quotes a year. See if I can open this up a bit better. Change the color even. We do 100 roof quotes a year. We download a satellite image of the roof into SketchUp and trace over all the components of the roof and measure the area of the roof, including all eaves, hips, roof valleys, rafters, etc. We then manually input these specific measurements into Excel quoting. Okay, that's saving you or costing you a heap of time there. Who am I speaking to? Trevor, mate, that is what Plusspec is actually made for originally. We've gone a lot further since then. Okay, so pitch roofs, not trusses, and that's where we do a really good job. So let's have a quick look at that. Okay, let's go back to our model. Okay, let's just say we just do some strange shapes here. This might be what you've downloaded and traced over in Google Earth. Okay, and the roof might be several different types of roofs. Okay, and you're obviously probably working in ratio, I'm not sure, or degrees. Regardless, you can change that around yourself. Choose the type of roof that you want to do. If you're looking at just doing your timber takeoffs and so on, your eave overhangs and so on, and go submit. Okay, and it'll create a roof. Now you can say, okay, we might have a gable in several different locations. So you might have one here. Go submit. And essentially what you do is you simply keep clicking into the model until you get all of your faces highlighted in a different color. Now if you're doing an extension, you might only want to actually have here and here as the extended area, and you might just want this valley done. I'm going to do all of them first so you can see what happens. There's a video on this pitch roofs which I did, talks about crown end rafters and the whole lot, but let's just see how this works here. So we've got the rafter spacings, fascia, so obviously you're going to go, so probably, I know that Canada's imperial and metric. I'll leave it in metric, but if you want to write in 2 feet, simply write in 2 feet, fascia height and so on, and the size of your rafters down here. You can choose a metric or imperial option there as well. Okay, and we simply go submit. Now it's going to take a second, so let's have a look at what happened behind the scenes there. So I'm going to create all my scenes again. See them happening up here. Now it's actually going to create a scene called structure. Right, and it actually went through and it went, well, you know what, there's a couple of things that we weren't too sure about. What did you want to do when the rafter overhung the valley? So essentially what we do here is we go to here and we can just move these along to where we see fit. Okay, or you can create rafters from scratch. I do believe that you should be looking at the tutorial that I've done on this. It's pretty in depth and it goes through how to do under purlins and so on. What it has done is it's given us a length for our valley rafter there, our standard rafters. It's given us a length for our crowned end rafter. In this particular case, it did get a crowned end rafter, but what we've actually done is actually calculated from the outside so that when you're cutting your creeper rafters, they're all the same length. So for instance, this creeper rafter here, let's put a tape on this, to here, down the bottom you can see it's 586. That'll be the same on the opposite side and the same on our corners here. So that way you can just call out to the apprentice and say cut these. Now it will do a full bill of quantities from those as well. So let's have a look and say let's do a takeoff. Okay, right, and here's the length of every single piece of timber to cut from long point to short point. Okay, that's saved probably. I know what it's like to do that, and I've done it plenty of times. Same with your under purlins and so on as well. If I go back to all here, and we might have our under purlins at a certain height, depending on the span of the timber that you're using. I usually actually just simply do something like this and go, right, okay, I'm going to actually leave that there. I'm going to go back to my structure. You notice it turned it off because it wasn't on the right layer. You can go and turn that layer back on if you choose. I'm just going to go, go back to all and find out what layer this is on. Right, entity info. It's on roof group because it was done in the roof group, so I can turn off when you turn that off. So if I went back to my layers and I turned on roof group, it's an easy way to find what's happening with your things. I'm not exactly 100% convinced on the way that layers are done in SketchUp 2016. You might be using 15. Roof group is on. Double check what that was on. The problem is, you see, this happens all the time. Roof underscore group, it's on. Okay, so we go to structure and I needed to turn roof underscore group on. There we go. Okay, and now when I go and do my under purlins, I would just simply go back to my roof framing tool, and down the bottom down here you have a whole heap of different options in alternatives. Okay, so under purlins, you might simply say, okay, well, this is an overhang out here, so I want to do an under purlin from here to here, say, and you might say do the same, go draw, and these is judging the sizes, so usually you might have, say, 90 by 70. I would be interested in talking more about this with you, probably not for everyone because not everyone's doing roofs. Under purlins from here to here. Now I know I've gone longer than a piece of timber, but you know, it's up to you. When you do your export, you can actually stop halfway. It's at whatever the maximum length. I assume it's 6 meters there, and if I push this back down, you'll see what happened. Okay, you can see that the original one that I drew was a skinnier under purlin, and the second one I drew was a larger under purlin. You can move them around too, so you probably, if you're just doing it for quoting and not for anything else, I just simply go and trace around it all and say, well, that's the amount of timber I need. And then also you're going to need struts as well, so I do a very similar thing with struts. I might say, okay, well, I want to strut the roof every 1800, so I might go here and I go move, control, say 1800 centers, depending on where your internal walls are, times 5. Right, now I can see that I've got a line, so at every 1800 I can now go and run my under purlins through, my struts. So go back down to here and oops, I don't want to draw that. I actually want to draw a strut. So a strut from here to here, say. Right, and you can go through and do that all the way through your roof. Obviously you want your internal walls in before you do that. Just remember not to click submit, it'll close the tool down because it's thinking you're asking it to do something new. Computers are essentially dumb. If you're going to do, say, a fly strut, not sure what you call it over there, I go from, say, here across to, I don't know, to our other strut for some reason, and I might do the same thing from here. To here. Just, I'm being very rough here. Just click once, not twice like I did. Go and delete this, and you'll see now I have my struts in there according to what it was. So I won't spend too much time on that. Go and watch the detailed video on that. It's pretty good. Okay, let's go back to those questions. I think actually when I go back to all, I think one of the other questions in there was ridges, caps, valleys, gutters, and so on. Now I've gone back to all. You notice that there's also sisolation, which we call it over here, or sarking. Waterproof membrane will also come out in our takeoff. So if I go and do a takeoff now, you'll notice I have a whole heap more information in there. So I have my roof framing, which is your timber. I have my cappings and every single length of capping to cut. I have my gutter, every single length of gutter to cut. Roof, the total amount of square meters, even soffit linings according to every individual face in square meters. It'll be in feet and inches if you want to do it in that. And we have our sarking or our waterproof membrane underneath there. You can add extra materials and create materials for that as well. Okay, so that's a reasonably in-depth one, that one, and more of a trade question. I can see you're a builder there. Okay, we also have something here from Gwen, who's an architect. Gwen's asking about 2 different types of wall thicknesses and how she would go about creating this particular wall structure. So she's got a 2 centimeter surface coating, 20 millimeter concrete block, 18 centimeters of insulation, 5 centimeters of air gap, 13 centimeters, 1.3 centimeters of plasterboard. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so we're going to go back to our wall, say. Our wall, go to here. And we have several different types of walls in here. So we've got multi-skin wall, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll notice you're looking for the 5th on the outside there. Okay, let's go to materials. You can create a composite material, which will be several. But at the moment the outside skin is brickwork and it's not allowing for anything on the outside there. You can create that material yourself and give it a thickness. Let's have a look at what you asked for in a thickness there. What I'm actually going to do to even make it a little bit easier, I might even just screenshot something here. Because I'm using a fast don't capture to do this, pretty sure there is another screen called snippet, I think. Snippet tool. Okay, I think I can just, no, I don't use this one very often, new, okay, from here to here, and we'll make this your outside lining, which you said it was 20 centimeter concrete block. Okay, go back to say our Plusspec SketchUp model, and I'm going to go create new material. Now, if I wanted to add in the thickness of the external lining as well, I could, but I'm going to show you a better workaround than that. I'm going to choose a file. Now, where did I save my snip to? File, save as, just go to say my desktop, and I'm going to call it, I'm going to leave it at capture. Call it 1 capture so I can find it easier. Save. So go to here and choose a file. So my desktop, and I'm looking for 1 capture. There we go. Open. Right, now what I want to do is tell it the size of the texture. So let's surmise that this is the texture that we're going to use. And we might say it is 500 millimeters wide or 6 inches, whatever it is, right in inches if that's what it is. Okay, I'm going to call it, I'll just leave it as 1 capture. You can change the brand, so if there's an actual brand you can actually go through here and find all of the brands that are in here, or you can create your own brand, and we might call it, sorry Gwen, I do forget how to spell your name there, I think it was GWIN. Be GWN, not sure, not much of a speller. You can also put a logo in there as well, so you can choose another file and make it as a logo. I won't worry about that, I think you get the idea. Cancel. Create my brand. Okay, it's asking me to select a file. Desktop. Let's use, say, another, see if we've got another image here. It's the videos. I'm going to use your capture as well as the brand. Go open, create my brand. It's creating it in the background, it's saving to a database so you can use this over and over and over. It's a good idea to actually learn to use this, guys. It does make it easier, and I think you said that the wall thickness was 200 millimeters. Or 20 centimeters, you can write in centimeters if you want to. Okay, and now what I need to do is I actually need to drag and drop that. Now you can drag and drop from here. First I'm going to agree that it's not someone else's texture. It's asking me for a unit format. I'm saying millimeters, so it kind of helps you out a fair bit. Create material, and you'll notice it'll come up now, and we should have your texture there. We do. Okay, I'm going to minimize this. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can actually grab this texture and go down to the bottom of your screen, or you can simply just go here and drag it to here. Now give it a second, it's going to take a little bit to load. So what it's actually doing is saving this to your library now locally, and you can then have your texture. So now you see I've got Gwyn 1 capture. Okay, I'm going to minimize this here and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my wall. Okay, it's also parametric, so I can go and put in windows. I can do everything that we needed to do. I probably should have covered the other things. So you've got a 2 centimeter surface coating. You can follow the same steps as I just did then. So let's go and put a window in here. So you put a window in here and a window here, say. Right, so now we have our windows in there. And we also have our cavity insulation there as well, and we have our timber sizes as well. We can change those parametrically. Let's see what you asked for. You asked for concrete, 20 centimeter concrete block as your main coating, 18 centimeters of insulation, 5 centimeters air gap, 1.3 centimeters plasterboard. Okay, so you actually wanted this around the other way. So what I would have actually done is made this a different type of wall. Or you could draw it back to front as well. I think it's a good question, Gwen. It can be done, and I'll show you. Probably should have read that a little bit better before I started. Concrete blocks. What have I got here? So it's a block core filled concrete block. And you want wall lining on the inside. Trying to think how I would actually do that. I probably should have called that concrete block. Okay, so having a think about that, Gwen, I'm not clear exactly what you're asking. You want a 2 centimeter surface coat, 20 centimeter concrete block, 18 centimeters of insulation, okay, which you can create as a material, 5 centimeter air gap. I'm not sure what you're going to fit the plasterboard because you've got an air gap in between these two here. So I would surmise that you would still need a timber stud frame. I'm going to show you a workaround that I can just off the top of my head. You notice that I'm always drawing clockwise. If I draw anti-clockwise, so usually I'm always drawing clockwise and going around this way. Now if I drew anti-clockwise, you'll notice that it puts a frame on the outside, which would then allow me to do what it wanted to do. So if we had this as your 20 centimeters, you have to have a frame to fit your lining on, which would be here. I'm not clear with the question, Gwyn. Maybe if you could send me over a detail and do it. Look, if we don't have it there, we will make it for you. I know that there is another wall type that we need to do now. I understand that America has requested a particular wall type that we don't use, and we can make those up for you. So I hope that helps out. Look, I mean, anyway, to get back to one more thing, if we wanted to add another lining to this here, we might say, okay, if we go into our wall tool, we go to here, and we can choose what the lining is going to be, or we can go back and create material like I just showed you. So I'll use, say, a dark tile. And as I said, create material, give it a thickness that you want it to be. If you're going to use glue and anything as a substrate, just stick it to the wall and it's got a thickness, sure, put it in there, or make it skinnier, and underlay as well. So for instance, on floors or on walls, sometimes you might put an underlay in or a sealer coat. It could just be simply paint and have no thickness. Okay, and now I can go in here and do that. Now there is one issue with this, is if I went and put a window in here, like this, okay, you'll see it cut through that. But when I put this one in here, you'll notice that now I've got a bit of a problem because it didn't cut through the window. But fortunately, we have a penetration tool in this as well. And what I would actually do is I would go wall surface, and I would go in here and I would say, okay, I want to add a void. I might even go into clear view so I can see where my window is. Go to here, 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 and enter to complete the loop. And now I have my window in there as well. So you can put as many layers on as you want to without too much drama. Right, I hope that answers your question, Gwen. Please send us an email if we need to clarify, or just go to the website and put it on the forum. Thanks, mate. Okay, going back to our questions again. Okay, thanks for the demo, no problems. Can we edit manually from the model and keep the data updated? Not exactly sure what that one's about. Could you clarify that one for me, Euless? Norway, great. I'm glad you enjoy it. Norway, I understand. Sorry, you're from Norway. Sorry, Adam. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, contact us. Nat, I met Nat over in London. Good guy. A few features. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Looking forward to using Plusspec 216. See if I can just go here. Okay, so we're going to the United States here now. Just want to make sure that I covered most of those questions. Yeah, I think I've covered most of that, guys. And what I'll do is I'll come back to you with another video now for some of the questions from the USA. All right, guys. Bye.